Hey everybody, welcome back to Live Between Paychecks Kitchen. I'm Oz, Ejaculator Still Like Jackson, and this one's coming from my little galley kitchen. It's a simple, easy one that I used to make all the time, but you're probably going to see me screw up. Every time I try to use cornstarch on anything, it doesn't work right. So stay tuned for that. Let's hope it doesn't happen. Before we get into it, be sure to like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube-y stuff, ring the little notification bells down in that corner. We get that that square says there's a face behind me. I swear my kitchen is haunted now. I'll tell you why. It's a long story. And there's also a link down the doobly-doo for our merch. Goosebumps, not good. We're a small business, we very much appreciate it, and hopefully the ghost won't get me. So let's just go ahead and get into the food. All right, this is going to be a throwback to you got $5. We got to make it for a week. So you want to get some of this cheap beef. The thinner the better. You can make sure it's thawed. It's like $4. You want a thing of these mushrooms. It's like $1, which is fine. You're going to need some water for your rice. You want 2 cups of water to 1 cup of your rice. Relatively simple. Some garlic. I get the pre-sliced stuff because I'm lazy. You're going to want some salt here. I'll prove that there's salt in it. There you go. It's not just a piece of bamboo that looks fancy. I'm going to use some black pepper, and then just because I want to throw it in is the 5-spice powder. I used this for a couple of different recipes before, but it works out really well. It gives it really good flavor. There's cornstarch, my dreaded nemesis. We're going to use just a tablespoon of that. We're going to need some butter. I use the unsalted. We're going to use half a stick, which is roughly 4 tablespoons is what you're looking for. And that's it. This is a relatively simple, thing. So first things first, get your 2 cups of water up to boiling. Go ahead and get that super hot. The rice always seems to take longer than anything else in this. So you need to go wash your mushrooms. So let's get them scrubbed, get that nice and done. I'm watching the outside Xbox stuff. Ellen over there, and is always amazing. Jane too. Mike's pretty cool too. So yeah, like listening to them when I'm cooking and stuff. But you always want to listen to something while you're cooking. So first things first, go ahead and get that cup of rice in your boiling water and let that come to a boil. Get you a nice sharp knife. Shout out to my buddy Andy, and go ahead and get that cut down. Speaking of Andy, I left Andy out of the outside Xbox thing, but he's cool too. I hope he doesn't get mad. They'll never see this anyway. So go ahead and cut your beef down into cubes as small as possible. That's fine. Go ahead and slice those up on the side. Again, I like to cut it real small so it's easier to cut. Mushrooms, same thing. Go ahead and give it a nice slice down. This is not just because this is the only knife I have. It's the only one I have that's sharp. I was just squishing mushrooms left and right. So go ahead and get these. You can leave them this big, or you can go ahead and have them again. So I think it'd be like 8 the damn things. I don't know. We'll just go ahead and cut them in half again to cut them down to smaller. Now I'm going to use the whole pack, the whole little bundle of mushrooms. So we're going to get a skillet, put it about medium high. I put it on a 6 out of 9 that goes on my oven. Now that the rice has come back to a boil, I'm going to go ahead and turn it down and turn it off. And let that sit for about 20 minutes. So get you that 4 tablespoons of butter, just half a stick. Let that melt down. Once that gets in there, go ahead and throw in your beef first. I should probably put in the garlic first, but I did this backwards. I wasn't thinking. But since the garlic is so minced, since I already got it minced up, it doesn't really have to go in first. You can put it in here just as much as you feel like putting in. I think I did about a teaspoon and a half. That's my spoon for tea that I use, that the British are probably mad at me for using. So go ahead and stir this around. Go ahead and keep that meat on the metal. Let that start to brown. Don't let it just sit, or you can, but you're going to have to keep it flipping, right? You don't want to just cook one side of the meat and hope for the best for the other side. So go ahead and give it a knock around. Doesn't have to be constantly stirring. Just put that meat down on the metal, let it cook, and then give it a stir. Once it's starting to brown here, see, it's not completely browned. It's still reddish around the edges, medium rare. Go ahead and add those mushrooms on top. Just boom, put it right on top. Give them a stir. Again, you want to get this heat. Now, if you have a cover, it's perfect. If you don't, just use a plate the size of your skillet, and it'll keep that and help that cover it up. But you want to stir this one fairly regularly too. You want that meat to keep cooking, and your bunch of mushrooms to just start to wilt a little bit, like a little bit of crisp left in them. So they'll cook down. You see how they kind of fit in there now. So once you get that cooked out, we're going to go ahead and get our tongs, and we're going to move the meat and the mushrooms out. We're going to leave all that grease and the juices and the butter and the garlic in the bottom. And now we're going to season that. We're going to make this into a type of gravy. Just 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, which I should probably sprinkle in smaller amounts and whisk as I'm going, but I don't like cornstarch. Again, just the 5 spices, just to taste. I think that was about maybe half a teaspoon to 3/4 of a teaspoon in there. Pinch of salt. Some people ask for more salt. I just don't like having it in my stuff. And pepper to taste. That's completely up to you. You can see this stuff, all the juices that are still in there are going to be bubbling around the edges. So you want to go ahead and you can use a wooden spoon. You'd probably be better off with a whisk and should have done it faster. But you can see how the cornstarch is already turning into little lumps of cornstarch ball. I apologize. Like I said, get you a whisk, and when it starts doing that, add a little bit of water, and usually, as my friend Ann tells me, add more fat. So add a little bit more butter, that kind of stuff. It'll kind of help it start to break down and get back to more of that less thick gravy stuff. So once you get that nice and mixed and whisked the hell in where it's nice and hot, we're just going to add everything back in. Loop. Right, like this looks like something from the military. My father would always say brown lumps with gray sauce or gray lumps with brown sauce. But give it a toss in this kind of stuff, right? Make sure it's all nice and coated, because remember, we season the gravy stuff, not the meat itself, right? Because there's just so much transferring, I didn't want to lose it that way. So you put it in the gravy part, it works out really well. So now that your rice has been cooked after that 20 minutes of sitting, there's no water in it, it's actually cooked to perfection. Just look at my hand for a while I pour this, pour all this into just right on top of the beef itself. I'm so sorry, I was not paying attention. It was just hot. I was burning the pookie out of myself here. So put that rice in there and just stir it up. Now again, this is one of those ones that doesn't look appetizing, but it tastes amazing. It's super filling and it's cheap. This is what we're looking for with this show. So once you get this nice and stirred in, it's ready to serve. I add a little bit of jalapenos to it. Jalapenos and hot sauce seem to make this one. But again, it's well under $10. It served a big guy like me at least 3 times. So you're good for at least 4 people one time, or 2 people twice. Like I guess just food math. But yeah, if you do it differently, you gotta let me know. I want to try this again. I'd love to do it with a lighter, more thinner, like Asian type gravy that you always get at the buffets and stuff. But this turned out really well. Again, I added hot sauce and jalapenos to it. A lot of people just add salt and it's good. So yeah, like I said, filling, cheap, ready to go. It's good stuff. You got to give it a try. And there you have it, folks. It turned out, it worked out. Like I said, cornstarch and me do not get along. I just need to put a little bit of it and whisk it a lot better, but that happens. But it still turns out great. Don't ever waste food, man. Don't ever say, well, the cornstarch didn't right, and toss it out the window. Don't do that. Just get it done. If you do it differently, you want to see me do it differently, you want to see me try it again with cornstarch that'll actually work, let me know. Put it down in the comments. That's what they're there for. Also, if you got any recipe ideas, put them down there too. You can also put us over on social media. Man, I'm on Facebook, Pinterest, Patreon. We're at all those that live in between Paycheck's Kitchen. So on Instagram, live in between, had to shorten it down. Me, Osway Nerdy, I'm on all of those, including over on Twitter and TikTok, but I'm generally either talking comics, action figures, LARPing, or painting miniatures or gaming. So nerd stuff if you're into that stuff. Food, we can talk food too. That's fine. Absolutely perfectly fine with me doing that too. So let me know. I'll see y'all next time. And check this out. This is some of the merch. I don't know if you can see that. Whoop, clear up, focus. The pothole is my favorite because it cusses. I'm not wearing my apron because it's getting clean. It's in the laundry right now. I had too much of a mess with cornstarch. So I'll see y'all next time. Y'all please be safe and enjoy the food.